Well, hello there. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing wonderful. And here's a little wave just for you. Oh, you want another one? Oh Lord, I accidentally clicked outside the game. Oh, okay, there. Oh, you want another one, do you? Just another one just for you. A little wave. Ah, yes, the simple pleasures of playing Warhammer Online. This game is actually really great for just like kind of like chilling out, man. I've been running around doing all kinds of little things, been earning some more money, been doing a little bit of RVR, been doing some butchering, leveling on my butchering skill, been running around checking out all the people's cool costumes. There's a lot of cool costumes in this game. People like to decorate. Look at this guy here. He's got a yellow and blue. He's Iandan, but this is not 40k. That's weird. And then we got Beastmaster here. Look at her cool goggles and very nice white outfit. There's all kinds of fun stuff to do in this game, just wandering around. And I gotta say, I've been having a whole heck of a lot of fun just kind of wandering around, looking at people's different outfits and things like that. But also, I've been, killing a lot of lizards and leveling up. I got Yumina up to level 28. I didn't think it would take as long as it did, but it took a little while. And I've been having fun. Oh, look, there's Mysterious Chicken. Hello, Mysterious Chicken. How are you? But yeah, man, this is just a great game to just kind of run around in and just, explore and have a bit of fun. And they just finished having their Easter event where there was a bunch of eggs and things, and I still had a couple of eggs. So I was just gonna look and see here. Uh, no, I don't want blazing orange dye. I think I want dark orange. Okay. Dude, dark orange. Okay. People are selling them for a little bit of money. Some people are asking a lot of money for their stuff. Let's see. This one is teal speckled. Yeah, I had a couple of these eggs and I haven't used them yet, so I just figured I would see what people are charging for them. Not really too many crazy prices. I suppose I could kind of hold on to it for a bit and see if anything, because I don't think these expire. Yeah, they don't expire. I guess I could hold on to them for a bit and then try to make some more money later on. But yeah, I've been having fun just kind of running around doing that sort of thing. And one of my favorite things about Warhammer, and I realized that it was kind of hard to specify, but I just like the feel of Warhammer. Like, look at this. Look at this silly thing. Ah, yes. This is the Anus Demon. Haven't you seen the Anus Demon before? Of course you have. It's a common story among the children. But it's also just like there's just a feeling of walking around in like a Warhammer city where everything is, slightly T-posy, but everything just slightly run down. Like it's not like horrible, but there's just a certain amount of rundown. And I think part of what I really like about Warhammer is there's a particular grittiness to everything that makes it just feel more realistic, kind of more grounded, despite people wearing outfits like that. It's a cool helmet, but that does look like it would be kind of weird to fight in. And like, I also like that, for instance, in something like Warhammer Online, there's so much of it that is just so very cosmopolitan. You get like a nice mix of dwarves and elves and all kinds of things, even in, Outdorf and these other cities. And now, with these new updates, now you can visit Karazakarak. And isn't that pretty cool? You can also go to Kaldor and be like, hey, what's around here? And it turns out it's mostly dragoons. Oh, I could get a hunting hound. Warlord's Fellhound. I wonder how I get that. I guess I gotta find out so I can have a cool thing. Yeah, and you can look. You can have one of these nice Wyverns. I could ride around on one of those if I went and got the thing. This lady likes blue. That's understandable. I like blue as well. I have pretty blue eyes. But that's kind of one of the interesting things I was just kind of thinking about in Warhammer. One of the things that I love about it is that it just has a feel that I really don't feel like I've ever gotten in any other war game. Like I've played a lot of different um I played a lot of different like online games like this. But there's just something about it where like I guess it's Warhammer and I love Warhammer. I love the dwarves. I love how they love their grudges and they just run around and be cool guys with big axes and things like that. But it's just or like elves too. Like it's kind of interesting because if you really think about it, it's like okay, so a lot of the things that you know about elves, for instance, like they're kind of arrogant and haughty, they like magic and things like that. A lot of that you can see in other fantasy groups, but it just never feels quite the same. Just something about this, you can just look at this guy and be like, oh yes, that is a Warhammer elf. I mean, I suppose Elder Scrolls has kind of a similar thing going on where if you really look at a lot of the Elder Scrolls races and things like that, you can really tell that they like belong specifically in Elder Scrolls. It's just kind of a look to everything. But yeah, Warhammer has a very interesting look to it and just feels good to play. It just feels good to just I was listening to podcasts and audiobooks and things like that, and I was just kind of running around over here. Look, this eagle has just been kind of flying kind of weird back and forth for quite a while. But that's fine. I like that eagle. But I've just been running around in here, killing guys, killing some lizards, butchering the lizards to get the parts for them. And then I was running up here I've killed these guys a bunch, these Zinch boys over and over. And it's just great. And I don't know. It's kind of hard to put into words all the things I like about it. I think I am going to try to talk about it just a little bit because I was thinking about this recently. It's like it's just kind of nice and simple. I feel like when I play something like Black Desert Online or if I play some of these other modern MMOs, it just it doesn't feel as simple. It feels like there's a lot more stuff going on, and there's some appeal to that, but it's just going back to the nice simple combat is cool. And I guess it's also like for Warhammer Online because there aren't a bunch of servers going here like playing with people. It feels like there's a lot of people here who are just like really enthusiastic about Warhammer and just like Warhammer Online in particular, and that's really great. Like I greatly enjoy that. I like being a cat girl in Final Fantasy 14. If I could be a cat girl in Warhammer, that would be cool. But yeah, it just doesn't have the same feel. Like I guess Final Fantasy 14 is very anime, and that's just kind of not really my bag, man. I mean, I like parts of the anime stuff, but it just starts to feel a little bit too over the top. Warhammer it definitely has an over the top thing, but it's kind of a weird over the top because it's like it's over the top, but it's still kind of believable. Whereas like a lot of these anime games I've played, it's just like it's just too over the top. It's just like distracting. Like it just looks silly. I can make a nice lady here. I would say that I would like it more if there were more skin tones and things in Warhammer Online. That would be great. I just recently got some Perry miniatures in the mail that I'm going to turn into like some Araby slash Empire soldiers and stuff like that's a lot of fun. And I really enjoy that Warhammer has such a fleshed out world that you can just kind of look into it and you can look into all these different details, right? Like Araby, for instance. Araby has like its own history, and there's like, even though the official sources are nowhere near as much as the Empire, there's still like a lot of stuff you can explore. Like Araby is really cool because you can look into like their dress and things like that. I've been reading some stuff to get more information for an Araby video. Um, but you can read about like the magic they use and like the jinn, and you can read about their culture and things like that. And I thought it was interesting too because there's a Gotrek and Felix short story that I recently read, and it had it took place in Araby, and there was like a gigantic snake monster, and there was a chimera and all these other stuff. You also get the impression that they're more advanced in medicine. Um, but in a lot of ways, they kind of make them seem like they're in their own ways similar to the Empire for like the day-to-day life on the ground. Like, yeah, sure, the grander, wider culture is very different. But there is, at least in this Gotrek and Felix story, it's like, well, yeah, they didn't have the same kind of beer that you'd get in the Empire, but they did have, certain alcoholic beverages, and there was like a brothel, and there's stuff like that. Like, there's still some sin and vice to it. It's not like they try to write them as if they're like these pure religious fanatics, which sometimes I've seen when you introduce like Middle Eastern type places into fantasy settings. I have seen that a lot where it's like people are like, ah, yes. So they're either going to be, strictly speaking, like Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, or, Arabian Nights, or they're going to be like our modern understanding of a lot of these Middle Eastern cultures. So we're just going to basically write them as a bunch of religious weirdos and fanatics and like this very Orientalist view. And honestly, taking a little bit of the Orientalism, like this kind of extravagant view of the Middle East, and using that for a medieval or a fantasy Arabian type setting or Middle Eastern type setting could be kind of cool if you did play up the fact that it was, a little over the top. That could be kind of fun if you did it right. But the problem is that in a lot of cases, it's just like, ah, yes, and here they worship Allah, and they are very much into sword and thing, and look at turban. It's like, yeah, okay, sure. But like actually writing an interesting culture would be nice instead of just being like, here's some stereotypes. you know, it's like if you think about like the way that Creative Assembly expanded on Cathay and made Cathay its own thing. It's really cool. They've managed to take something, and it definitely feels, you know, Asian. You definitely get like the Chinese influence, but it doesn't just feel like, a bunch of Chinese stereotypes thrown in there. It feels like they've really put some love and work into it. And that's something I like about, like, for instance, the Empire. The Empire is like, a lot of the like kind of stereotypes about like early modern Europe, but it's also like played up for fun, and you gave it and there's like its own unique culture. And you can see, for instance, Telia and Estalia and some of these other places really have their own unique culture and are really interesting. I would say that some of the depictions of Araby I've read really make it seem like they were trying to give it its own culture, but a lot of it is also just kind of like that Arabian Nights thing. But hey, these days we have people who make their own Araby mods, and you also have things like Araby as it's described in the Warhammer's Armies project. It's all like really cool and neat. And then like in Warhammer Online, I get to like run around and explore these places. Like I like being able to explore different parts of Ulthuan and like fighting chaos and fighting dark elves and running around and all of this different stuff, and like seeing like, oh, what is it like to walk around in Ulthuan? Oh, it's very pretty in some parts of it, but it's also there's some dark elves down there. Look, they have dinosaurs. Be careful for their dinosaurs. And stuff like that. It's been really, as I've been, listening to these podcasts and just kind of running around and just doing my own thing, it's been a lot of fun. And it's been a lot of fun to really play up those aspects and really just kind of think about what it is in particular that I like about Warhammer. Now, part of it is also just nostalgia, because the cat got really into Warhammer when he was. I keep like clicking off of this silly lizard for some reason. And playing a lot of these different games, and I have these little Warhammer armies, and I've reduced my miniature collection by quite a bit, but I have just a few new things here, and I'm going to just build up a small force, and really take the time and maybe paint them real slow like and enjoy them. And yeah, and just running around in this, there's something just satisfying about running around and killing bad NPCs who want to be evil, who want to do the evil that I do. You know, steal yourself for death. Was that to him? Was he saying that to himself? Maybe he was saying it to himself. But and then just like seeing the love and dedication that was put into this game, and the love and dedication that's still put into this game is really fantastic. Oh, hey, that's a person. I have to admit, it's been kind of interesting though, for cause as much time as I've been spending just like running around killing these things. I have not seen very many other people. I think a lot of people would just focus on the RVR, and I think the RVR is fun, but I do occasionally like to just kind of like run around out here in the forest and just like kill some weird lizards and get their scales and things so that I can level up some more. All that's been a lot of fun. But yeah, it is kind of amazing to me to see like all the effort and love that's been put into this game, and all the effort and love that's put into Warhammer. Like, as I've been reading all these different sources, trying to get, more information for my videos and trying to like get more lore information. It's like every time you think that there's only a little bit of information, you can actually dig and find some really crazy stuff. Like I found this one thing because I was looking for official Araby sources of this one guy who listed out basically every single thing that was ever actually mentioned in Araby, and every single book that actually mentions Araby and has like Arabian characters in it, and has like actual like depth to them, or like what are the original descriptions? What do people actually say? How much how much effort is actually there in all of this stuff? And what what does all of it mean? How much time did people put into it? It's pretty amazing to read about. And I was thinking about playing Mountain Blade Warband because there's a big mod that has like you can basically play across the entire Warhammer world, or almost the entire Warhammer world. You can go all the way from like Araby in the Southlands to Nippon, which is pretty cool. The only thing that's kind of lame about that is that a lot of the armor piercing, armor piercing, armor pieces are like only for the actual race you're playing. So if you're playing like a human and you go fight against an orc warband, in like regular Mountain Blade, you kill the guys and you have just like a bunch of gear that you can either sell, or maybe some of it you can even use or give to other people. But if you don't, like, if you kill an orc warband, they're gonna drop a bunch of orc stuff that you just can't really use. I think some of it you can equip, but it just like breaks your model basically. It's kind of funny. But I've been thinking about doing that, and I've been thinking about all these different things. And I really want to do this Araby video, so I've been doing a lot of reading and things like that. But I don't know, just for some reason today, I was just kind of thinking about it. I was like, Warhammer is just like really cool. There's so many different things that you can appreciate about Warhammer. There's so much depth and lore and nice, and it all feels like it's a very particular thing. Like, elves and Warhammer do, to me, feel very different than elves in like Lord of the Rings or uh World of Warcraft, or pretty much Elder Scrolls, they all like feel different to like when I play Warhammer stuff, it feels very different. It feels like there's a lore and a history behind everything that kind of adds to it because part of this is of course just me because I love Warhammer, but I mean like in a regular game where I didn't have all this background lore, like for instance just fighting this guy right here would just be like fighting some random NPC. But to me, it's like I can think about like all the motivations of this guy and like how like a regular soldier should be terrified to fight him, but like Yamina is just so cool and badass that she can actually. Wait, was that Chaos Taffy? I didn't know that was a thing. Huh, interesting. And see, there's always the new stuff, but like this guy isn't just like a random armored soldier. Like he's someone who's like at least if I was just like running around on the street, it would be really terrifying to go up against. And there's like all this background stuff because he's a Zinch warrior of chaos, so it adds all this different stuff to it. It's really neat. It's really cool. There's so much lore and depth to all this, and that's great. And it's also like I said, like the combat feels fairly simple, but you can make it more in depth with tactics and all kinds of other crazy stuff. And yeah, it's just really awesome. And I just kind of felt like sharing that with you guys this week. I'm going to do some more research on the Araby video, and I think the Araby video will be next week or maybe later this week. Well, I guess we'll find out. But anyway, thanks for stopping by. I just hope you enjoy me sharing my thoughts and having a bit of fun. And I hope that you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.